Before we begin, viewer discretion is advised. This is for entertainment purposes only.
The most unlikable candidate in the history of presidents, and that's saying a lot.
But Biden says the same thing.
He's number 2. When Biden says something, does anyone go like, oh?
Right.
No, they used to go, oh, what'd he say?
It is happening in America. You can feel it. Something we've worked for and dreamed of for a long time. Donald Trump fell asleep at his own trial, and when he woke up, he made his own kind of history. The first person to run for president with 34 felonies.
Hillary Clinton is pacing back and forth like a simmering volcano on the edge of eruption, while Tyrus casually unloads shocking revelations as if he's reading items off a simple grocery list. Secrets? Oh, they're filthier than a toddler's sneakers after a wild mud run. The tension builds into explosions. Let's just say Hillary's furious reaction alone could generate enough energy to power an entire small city. And you're sitting there asking yourself, what on earth could be so scandalous that it pushed her over the edge this badly? Buckle up, because this meltdown makes the usual political theater look tame, like nothing more than a daytime soap opera.
You know, Tyrus, and this goes back to 2016, people were reluctant to talk to pollsters and say, I like Donald Trump. And now, fast forward 8 years later, essentially they're saying, if you like him, you're in a cult. Do you really want to be in a cult?
If the cult that Hillary doesn't like, yeah.
Before we dive any deeper, go ahead and smash that like button and hit subscribe, because trust me, you don't want to miss what's about to unfold. Hillary Clinton was supposed to be coasting through her post-political chapter, floating from one talk show to another, sprinkling well-polished wisdom, and soaking in applause as though she were taking a graceful bow at a Broadway curtain call. But then comes Tyrus, storming into the spotlight like a raging bull crashing through a china shop, carelessly dropping jaw-dropping secrets that sound as if they'd been excavated straight out of the hidden vaults of Area 51.
Is it a red hat? I'll get one. Like, it's ridiculous that when the losing side, or someone, she's just a very unlikable person and will say anything to get this attention. But here's the thing, it's changed. America has changed. We no longer listen to that stuff. Now when they say it, we go, that's why I didn't vote for you.
Suddenly, the woman who had weathered decades of Washington scandals is allegedly erupting like someone yanked the plug on her teleprompter mid-sentence. And let's be real. If there was ever going to be a person capable of making Hillary completely lose her composure, it wasn't going to be some senator posturing for attention. It wasn't going to be an international adversary trying to spar on policy. And it certainly wasn't going to be a panel of journalists lobbing easy softball questions. No, this time it had to be Tyrus, a man who looks like he was engineered in a WWE laboratory, only to be later rebranded as a walking television truth grenade. He doesn't tiptoe around controversy. He cannonballs straight into it with no hesitation.
Hillary Clinton is one of the most disgusting human beings on the planet.
Very much so.
Always has been, always will be, and will be inserting clips on her response to Benghazi several times throughout the interview. I want to show who she is.
She's worse than her husband.
A lot of people say that this was triggered by a YouTube video. This is her statement. I condemn in the strongest terms the attack on our mission in Benghazi today. The United States deplores any intentional effort to denigrate the religious beliefs of others. Our commitment to religious tolerance goes back to the very beginning.
Picture this for a moment. The world is moving along, minding its own business. Politics is churning in its usual swampy, sluggish fashion. And then, out of nowhere, Tyrus decides that today is the day he's going to rip open the vault of dirty secrets. Not the polished, prepackaged kind of secrets that politicians are used to spinning into talking points. No. These are the kind of raw, grimy revelations that make dry clean-only reputations reek like a pile of gym socks left out after a 4th of July barbecue.
Every time she talks, you kind of get why Bill did what he did. You know what I'm saying? Like, like, it's kind of like, again, I don't condone, cheating, but that's your morning.
Yeah.
You gotta kiss that before you go to bed at night, and then you gotta sleep with one eye open?
Yeah. And when those secrets finally spill out, Hillary's reaction is anything but subtle. We're not talking about a cold stare or a carefully measured rebuttal. No, we're talking about full-on fireworks. The kind of volcanic eruption that makes you wonder if someone secretly swapped out her morning latte for a cup of jet fuel. See, Tyrus has always carried this particular gift. He doesn't just point things out. He detonates them like live grenades tossed into the middle of the conversation.
Oh, your buddy Epstein didn't off himself, and she has all this extra footage cut up in the closet? Like, I bet Bill has not had a good night's sleep for years. I mean, that's why he aged so badly.
Yeah.
You know, like, a lot of people don't know this. Bill Clinton is only 37 years old.
He handles scandals the way a wrestler handles a storyline, pumping them full of over-the-top drama, chest-thumping bravado, and just the right dose of showmanship to keep audiences glued to their screens. So when Tyrus sets his sights on Hillary, it isn't just about dragging some shady corner of her past into the light. No, it's about staging a spectacle so massive it makes cable news feel like a children's puppet show. And Hillary? Oh, she can't stomach that. Because if there's one thing she has spent her entire career obsessively trying to control, it's the narrative. The polished speeches, the carefully managed interviews, the endless attempt to appear 5 chess moves ahead of everyone else. Meanwhile, Tyrus thrives on chaos. He doesn't operate with precision or strategy. His style is more hurl it into the spotlight and watch the world burn than methodically dismantle a political dynasty. But the moment those dirty secrets began spilling out, Hillary reacted like someone had slammed her internal do not disturb setting straight into nuclear meltdown mode. Picture her shouting, pacing, arms flailing wildly, like she's both the director and the star in a political soap opera that nobody asked for, yet everyone is watching.
She's just evil. Like, there's nothing like her.
Why would she even tweet that? Like, don't you have
I think she just sits around in her evil lair whenever she runs out of Eye of Newt and Small Children to Boil. She then goes to X and just says whatever the most evilest thing. I think if the devil himself showed up, like, you'll never hear her being possessed by a demon. You know what I'm saying? The demon will walk in and the demon will be calling Dr. Phil, you don't believe the that I just saw, bro. Like.
So what exactly did Tyrus put on blast? Well, let's just say it wasn't the type of bedtime story you tell to wind down the night. His so-called dirty secrets weren't playful little bits of brunch gossip you laugh off with a mimosa in hand. No. These were the kind of revelations that dig up old scandals from the grave, dust them off, and then shove them straight under the harshest spotlight imaginable. Suddenly, the ghosts of Hillary's past controversies weren't fading whispers in the background anymore. They were marching right to the front, loud and messy like a parade choreographed by amateurs. And here's the thing. Hillary Clinton has been through enough scandals to fill an entire Netflix anthology series, season after season. That's the unpredictability her inner circle fears the most. Because how do you script a counterattack when the other guy refuses to play by the script? That's when her explosion itself becomes the headline. Not the supposed secrets, not the fine details, but the spectacle, the raw drama of her reaction. Suddenly, the story isn't about whether those revelations are true. It's about how frantically, how loudly, Hillary tries to slam the door on them, and how that frantic energy becomes the real show.
It's the catfish. Well, they wanted us to believe it was a big naughty redhead that was going around, was going to ruin the world and do all kinds of bad things to us. Turns out the catfish was, hey, we don't boo here, but for this one time, you may boo.
And nothing screams, I'm rattled, louder than a full-blown public meltdown caught in plain view. Naturally, the internet devours this chaos like it's the season finale of a reality TV show. Overnight, memes flood social media. One camp insists Hillary's fiery reaction is proof she's guilty of everything under the sun, from political blunders to, who knows, maybe even hiding Jimmy Hoffa. The other camp fires back, claiming Tyrus is nothing more than a carnival barker slinging mud just to chase ratings. Meanwhile, as both sides scream past each other, the true winner isn't Hillary or Tyrus, it's the spectacle itself. Because here in 2025, political explosions don't just count as news, They're primetime entertainment. That's the twisted beauty of this circus. Think about it. Hillary has been called every name in the book, dragged through investigation after investigation, and somehow still managed to stand tall on stage, smiling like she was untouchable. And yet, one oversized pundit with a flair for stirring chaos steps in, and suddenly she's blowing up like a pressure cooker left unattended. That alone tells you everything about the psychological chess match unfolding here, where perception, not policy, is the battlefield.
Look, if the pantsuit fits. Hillary Clinton, you owe Russia an apology. And there should be an apology tour for lying to the American people and ruining 2 years of Trump's presidency and affecting elections with Russiagate, impeachment, and fake dossiers. Oh yeah, let's not forget the P-tape.
Because this isn't really about cold, hard facts. It's about perception. And in politics, perception doesn't just influence reality, it is reality. When Hillary blows up, it fuels the narrative that maybe, just maybe, those secrets hit a nerve she couldn't hide. And once the public senses you're rattled, you've already lost half the battle before the fight even begins. Of course, Tyrus knows this playbook inside and out. He doesn't need to win debates armed with spreadsheets, citations, or carefully footnoted arguments. All he needs is a perfectly timed revelation, a sly smirk, and the certainty that Hillary herself will do the rest of the heavy lifting by overreacting. It's the oldest trick in political theater. Poke the bear, and then let the bear write the headlines for you. And judging by the avalanche of headlines that followed, that strategy worked far better than even Tyrus could have dreamed. By now, you'd think Hillary would have mastered the art of brushing off controversy, shrugging it aside, dismissing it as nonsense, and moving forward. But her eruption proved that even the most seasoned veterans can stumble. The cherry on top? Watching her scramble afterward, trying to glue the pieces back together, spinning it, reframing it, insisting she was never shaken in the first place. But by then, the damage was already baked into the internet. The digital world had crowned it the meltdown of the year, and Tyrus. He had already moved on to his next round of chaos, leaving Hillary stuck with the fallout.
I want you to remember what Donald Trump said about Hillary Clinton back in the 2016 debate.
It's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Because you'd be in jail.
Secretary Clinton.
It's like, yeah, because you'd be going to jail, lady.
The explosion wasn't just a reaction, it was a full-blown performance. The kind of over-the-top spectacle that makes you wonder if Hillary had secretly been rehearsing in front of a mirror for decades, waiting for this exact moment. She didn't merely disagree, she detonated. Arms flailing, voice climbing higher and higher, unleashing the full dramatic arsenal of someone who had been bottling up every ounce of irritation until Tyrus finally smashed the launch button. It was like watching a Shakespearean tragedy rewritten as a WWE promo, only this one came complete with an odd, imaginary soundtrack that seemed to be blasting solely inside her head. And here's the truth. Hillary doesn't do subtle. Oh, she tries. She'll paste on that trademark politician's smile, lean gently into the microphone, and deliver her lines like she's performing in a courtroom drama. But the second someone like Tyrus lobs one of his verbal bombs, that carefully polished exterior melts away faster than ice cream on a July sidewalk. So watching Hillary erupt wasn't really about the content of what he exposed. It was about the collapse of the Clinton mystique. That carefully manufactured aura of untouchability proved to be just one dirty secret away from shattering wide open. And then came the internet. Oh, the internet had an absolute field day. Memes popped up across social platforms faster than Hillary's temper could explode, each one turning her meltdown into digital confetti for the world to share and laugh over.
Since they can't air the truth, they control the storyline, and they've lost control of it. From bloodbath to democracy. Last night, Hillary tried framing the election like this. Both guys are old, but you can't vote for the one we indicted.
What do you say to voters who are upset that those are the two choices?
Get over yourself. Those are the two choices. One is old and effective and compassionate, has a heart, and really cares about people. and one is old and has been charged with 91.
1 minute she's delivering scorching rebuttals. The next she's plastered all over social media as a smoking volcano, a mushroom cloud, or a malfunctioning robot short-circuiting in front of a green screen. Twitter jokingly christened her Mount Hillary. TikTok churned out remix clips splicing her meltdown with Tyrus grinning like a cat that just swallowed a bald eagle. Even people who usually find politics soporific suddenly tuned in, because sure, policy can bore you, but watching one of the most powerful figures in recent history unravel live? That's pure bingeable content. Hashtags shot up the trending lists worldwide. News anchors attempted to narrate it with grave faces, though you could almost hear the stifled chuckles. Others pleaded for her to crack a joke and diffuse the moment. But every attempt to tidy things up only magnified the chaos. Each downplay confirmed that Tyrus had hit a raw nerve. It was like trying to smother a grease fire with a gas can. The fallout ballooned to absurd proportions. Late-night comics feasted on material for weeks. Pundits spun elaborate theories about what Tyrus had really uncovered, as if he'd unearthed secret pages from a Clinton playbook and conspiracy. Channels tied it to everything from Wall Street donors to interdimensional lizard people.
She's back like a sore on a porn star's lip.
Ew.
Complaining on X about Trump cleaning up D.C., she says, quote, on one hand, Republican officials call themselves war fighters. On the other, they become whiny crybabies at the thought of setting foot in D.C. streets and New York City subways that literal school children navigate every day without incident. Real macho stuff. Then she got off social media and returned to moving a dead body to a park.
Meanwhile, Hillary's defenders tried to frame her eruption as righteous fury, the kind of anger you only unleash when you've finally had enough of clowns lobbing cheap shots from the sidelines. But let's be real, anger that loud rarely reads as strength. It doesn't project control. It projects insecurity dressed up in a Halloween mask, and that's the irony. Hillary's entire political brand was built on endurance, on surviving chaos that would have crushed almost anyone else. Scandal after scandal she endured. Investigations, accusations, smear campaigns. She always got back up, dusted herself off, and kept marching forward like the Terminator in a pantsuit. But now, a television personality with a flair for theatrics was the one who managed to unravel her. The contrast was almost comical, so sharp, so absurd, that even her staunchest loyalists had to quietly admit this wasn't her strongest moment. And Tyrus? He didn't even need to follow up. He didn't need to push harder. The media did the heavy lifting with wall-to-wall coverage, and the internet brought the popcorn. The cruelest twist is that Hillary knows exactly how this game works. She's played it longer than most people have been alive. Which means she also knew, the second she let herself explode, that she had already lost. Because in politics, truth is secondary. Optics are everything. And optics don't care whether Tyrus exaggerated, speculated, or flat-out improvised. Optics only care that Hillary looked shaken. And for someone who spent a lifetime constructing the image of being unshakable, that's the kind of slip that cuts the deepest.
It's not just ironic, it's not just rich, it's actually pretty sad.
What happened to decorum?
Gone,
what happened to being the so-called leader in the room? He's being indicted, great. But let's not forget, you lost your election because of your, quote, crookedness. So let's not forget that. So yeah, she didn't get charges put on her, which probably should have, but she lost the election because of her underhand dealings. So let's remember that.
Now let's zoom out and look at the spectacle for what it really was. This wasn't just a petty spat between a politician and a pundit. It was a living symbol of how politics has completely fused with entertainment. Theatrics are the new currency. Outrage is the stock market. And Hillary's explosion? That was like watching the Dow Jones crash live on national television. Every eye was locked on it. Not because people were hungry for policy debates, but because they were craving drama. And drama, Hillary delivered by the truckload. It's almost poetic. For decades, Hillary carefully sculpted her image as the embodiment of strength, control, inevitability. She wanted to be the iron figure who couldn't be broken by scandal, the one who could weather absolutely anything. But here, her meltdown rewrote the narrative in real time. And let's not forget the global audience. World leaders who normally groan and roll their eyes at America's endless scandals couldn't help but laugh this one off. You can picture them in their offices, watching the clips, shaking their heads, muttering, "Only in America could this pass for political discourse." Meanwhile, the American public was too busy laughing, sharing, and arguing over which meme best captured Hillary's unraveling to even care about what was actually said. That's the punchline, the timing. Hillary wasn't running for office. She wasn't pushing some bold new agenda. She wasn't even trying to dominate the news cycle. She was just existing. And somehow, even in political retirement, she managed to become the star of the biggest drama of the year.
So happy about it. That was an opportunity for her. They're always talking about closing the division. That would have been an opportunity for her to be gracious and be supposedly the leader, but again, she just can't stay away from herself.
Maturity doesn't always come with age.
No, it really doesn't, and it's sad in this currently with the given climate where everybody's after each other's throat. Here's a chance for a leader to show a little bit of class necessary. You don't have to like President Trump. You could think he was guilty of sin or innocent of sin, but when you're put in that position, there was an opportunity for her to show what leaders are supposed to do.
And then, bang! Tyrus flips her straight into headline material, and instantly her face is plastered everywhere once again. It feels as though the political gods themselves decreed she wouldn't be permitted to drift into quiet retirement, not when her reactions still hold enough fuel to churn out viral content. And honestly, that's probably the most brutal twist of all. Hillary dreamed of being remembered as a trailblazer, a path-paving pioneer, a heavyweight in the political arena who left fingerprints on history. Instead, she's trending worldwide for snapping under pressure because a loud-mouthed pundit exposed raw secrets with the flair of a carnival showman. It's pure Shakespearean irony, dipped in the digital age's favorite seasoning, online trolling. The longer you sit with it, the more ridiculous and oddly comical it becomes. Because Hillary's eruption isn't merely about her temper, it's a spotlight on the absurd, circus-like theater that defines modern politics. And yes, this outburst revealed more about the spectacle of American governance than any sterile think tank report ever could. But the pressing question isn't whether she can bounce back. It's whether she even has the desire to. Because after a display this explosive, you can't just cram the genie back into the bottle. You either embrace the chaos head-on or you get swallowed whole by it. And if history teaches us anything, it's that Hillary Clinton never sinks quietly into the background.